Picture a snowy Alaskan night, where a little girl's kindness meets a dying wolf's courage, and a bond is born that changes everything. Hey there, welcome to our channel. If you love heartwarming tales of hope, grit, and the wild connections that heal us, hit that subscribe button and join our pack. Get ready for Lily, Nova, and a story that'll tug at your heartstrings. Let's dive in. The Alaskan twilight draped Timber Hollow in a hush, the kind that settles over a small town when the day's work fades and the wild begins to whisper. 7-year-old Lily Carter stood at the edge of a frost-rimmed meadow. Her small frame taut with a shiver of recognition that wasn't just from the cold. A long, mournful howl sliced through the crisp October air, reverberating off the jagged peaks that cradled the town like a fortress. Goosebumps prickled beneath her wool sweater, and her breath caught in her chest, not from fear, but from a pull deep in her soul, as if the sound had unlocked a memory she didn't know she held. "Lily, get back here right now," her grandmother Clara's voice cracked with urgency from 30 yards behind, where the glow of lanterns and the murmur of Timber Hollow's annual harvest gathering had fallen into stunned silence. But Lily's boots stayed planted, her hazel eyes, flecked with gold like her mom's, fixed on the tree line as shadows stirred in the deepening dusk. First one, then two, then 5 wolves emerged from the pines. Their coats shimmering in the fading light like molten silver against the dark green. At their center stood a magnificent female, larger than the others, her gray fur streaked with white, catching the last golden rays of the setting sun like a halo. Her amber eyes locked onto Lily's across the clearing, steady, penetrating, impossibly alive with something that felt like knowing. Lily's hand trembled as she raised it, the sleeve of her oversized parka slipping down her wrist, her breath puffing out in small, white clouds. The wolf took a deliberate step forward. Then another, her paws silent on the frozen grass. Behind Lily, the sharp click of a rifle bolt snapped through the stillness, followed by tense whispers from the gathered adults, hunters, trappers, neighbors, who clutched their coats tighter against the chill. "Don't shoot." Lily's voice erupted, high and fierce, shattering the tension as she stepped toward the wolves instead of retreating. "It's her, it's Nova." The lead wolf paused, tilting her head, ears flicking forward as if testing the air. Then, in a moment that felt like the world holding its breath, she dipped her muzzle, a gesture so deliberate it could have been a nod. "It can't be," Clara whispered, her weathered hand finding Lily's shoulder, fingers digging in with a mix of fear and wonder. "After all this time?" But Lily knew, with a certainty that pulsed in her veins. 1 year ago, in the depths of a brutal Alaskan winter, their story had begun, and now, standing face to face with the wolf she'd once saved, Lily felt her world shift irrevocably once more. Life had unraveled for Lily Carter 6 months earlier with the speed and cruelty of a landslide. She'd been a bright-eyed first grader in Portland, Oregon, living in a craftsman bungalow with sage-green shutters and a backyard swing her dad had built. Her mom, Sarah, was a librarian with a laugh like wind chimes, always tucking Lily in with stories of woodland creatures, foxes that outsmarted hunters, owls that guarded secrets. Her dad, James, taught history at the community college, his weekends spent sketching maps of Oregon's trails for their summer hikes. Lily's room overflowed with stuffed animals, bear, fox, owl, each named with a giggle and a hug. Then came the icy night in March, a semi-skidding on black ice outside Salem, and a phone call that woke Lily to her parents' absence. The funeral was a blur of black dresses and pitying glances, her 2 big boots pinching as she stood by 2 caskets, unable to fathom why mom and dad wouldn't open their eyes. At 6, she became an orphan, shipped north to her only living relative, her grandmother Clara, in the wilds of Alaska's interior. Clara Carter, 67, was a woman forged by the land she'd called home for decades. Her gray hair hung in a tight braid down her back, and her hands bore the scars of a life spent skinning game and mending nets alongside her late husband, Tom, a trapper who'd died 10 years back from a heart attack on the trapline. Once a sharpshooter who'd felled bears and wolves to protect their homestead, Clara had softened after Tom's passing, turning their weathered cabin into a wildlife observation post. She logged bird migrations, tracked moose patterns, and wrote letters to the state pushing for conservation, acts that earned her nods from some in Timber Hollow and scowls from others who clung to the old ways. Her face, lined like a map of hard winters, still held a spark of the girl who'd arrived in Alaska at 19, chasing adventure with Tom. Raising a grieving child, though, was uncharted territory. Her gruff kindness often stumbled over Lily's silence. Lily arrived in late September, when snow dusted the ground like a first promise of winter. The cabin sat on the edge of Timber Hollow, a town of 600 souls carved from spruce and stubbornness. Its streets lined with log homes and a single gas station that doubled as a general store. Clara tried to weave Lily into this new life, showing her how to spot deer tracks in the mud, whistle like a chickadee through cupped hands, and read the wind's tales at night by the woodstove's glow. She baked biscuits from Tom's recipe, their buttery scent filling the small kitchen, and left Lily worksheets from the homeschool co-op run by Mrs. Olson, the postmistress. But Lily stayed quiet, her eyes shadowed with a grief too vast for her small frame, clutching a blue baby blanket with embroidered stars, her mom's last gift, under her pillow each night. Around her neck hung a silver pendant shaped like a wolf's paw, a keepsake from her dad's hiking days, its edges worn smooth by her fingers. Timber Hollow was a hardscrabble place. Its people bound by a code of survival honed over generations. Most traced their roots to the settlers who'd staked claims in the 1890s, and change came slow, if at all. Wolves split the town like a fault line. Some, like Clara, saw them as kin to the land, wild and worthy of respect. Others, like Bill Travis, a rancher whose calves vanished in the night, viewed them as threats to be culled. In a place where winter could turn a missed meal into a death sentence, practicality often outranked poetry. The town's rhythm pulsed with hunting seasons, fishing hauls, and the trickle of tourists who braved the dirt roads for a glimpse of the northern lights. Neighbors were a patchwork. Mrs. Olson, 55, with her warm hugs and endless knitting, lived a quarter-mile east. To the west, Hank Grayson, a grizzled trapper, grumbled about city softies ruining the wild. His hound's bark's a constant soundtrack. It was a biting December morning that changed everything, the kind of cold that made the cabin's windows crackle with frost ferns. Clara bundled up at dawn to help Hank fix his snowmobile, its engine coughing in the shed. "Stay inside, Lily," she said, her breath clouding as she handed over a math worksheet, addition, single digits. "Finish this, keep the door locked. Don't step past the porch." Lily nodded, her pencil scratching numbers as Clara's truck rumbled off. But the stillness gnawed at her, a restless itch she couldn't scratch. Through the kitchen window, sunlight glinted off fresh snow, scattering diamonds across the spruce beyond the yard. It beckoned, a pull she couldn't name, maybe the same spark that had lured her dad to the trails, her mom to the myths of the woods. She tugged on her parka, patched at the elbows from Clara's repairs, and her mom's old knit cap, its red pom-pom bobbing as she slipped onto the porch. "Just a peek," she murmured, the lie soft on her tongue. One step became 10, then 50, her boots crunching a path along a deer trail winding through towering trees. The silence was magic, broken only by a raven's harsh caw or the snap of an ice-laden branch. She followed odd tracks, big, padded prints weaving through the underbrush, until they led to a clearing ringed by snow-dusted pines. The snow there was churned, streaked with dark patches that made her stomach twist. Blood, she realized, her breath hitching. Her eyes traced the crimson trail to a fallen log, where a large wolf lay half-hidden in shadow. Its silver-gray coat was matted with red along one flank, its sides heaving with shallow, pained breaths. Lily's first instinct was to run. Clara's warnings echoed loud, "Wolves are wild. Beautiful but dangerous. Keep your distance." Yet something rooted her. The wolf lifted its head, amber eyes meeting hers, not with a snarl, but with a weariness that mirrored the ache she carried since March. "You're hurt," Lily whispered, her voice barely audible in the vast quiet. The wolf's ears twitched, but it didn't growl or flee. Edging closer, she saw its belly swollen, pregnant. She guessed, recalling a PBS special her dad had watched with her, his arm around her shoulders on their old couch. Without fully knowing why, she unzipped her backpack, pulling out the peanut butter sandwich Clara had packed, 2 slices of white bread. Crusts uneven from her hasty cut. "Mom said sharing makes friends," she said softly, tearing off a piece and tossing it gently toward the wolf. It sniffed the offering, then ate. Hunger overcoming caution, its tongue lapping weakly. "I'll call you Nova," Lily decided, thinking of the starry nights Clara described, when the sky blazed with light. "Your fur's like the heavens." She tossed another piece, closer this time, her small hand steady despite the cold seeping through her mittens. "I lost my mom and dad," she went on, words tumbling out like a confession. "Are you alone too?" By the time her sandwich was gone, Nova's head rested on her paws, eyes locked on Lily with a quiet trust that pierced her heart. She knew she should head back. Clara would be frantic if she returned early, but Nova's need held her like an anchor. "I'll come back tomorrow," she promised, backing away slowly, her boots leaving shallow prints in the snow. That night, as Clara tucked her in, the wood stove popping softly, Lily asked, "Can wolves live if they're hurt in winter?" Clara's brow furrowed, her calloused hand pausing on the quilt. "Depends on the wound. Wolves are tough as nails, but a lone one's chances are slim without a pack to hunt for it." Guilt twisted in Lily's gut, but she nodded, feigning sleepiness. After Clara's footsteps faded, she slipped from bed, gathering supplies by the dim light of her flashlight, her water bottle, a stash of trail mix from Clara's pantry, and her blue baby blanket with embroidered stars, its edges frayed from years of clutching. She tucked them into her backpack, determination settling over her like a second skin. Next morning, Clara announced a town errand, picking up co-op books and a propane tank. "Back by lunch," she said, ruffling Lily's hair, her gloves dangling from her coat pocket. "Stay inside, do your worksheet, don't go beyond the porch." Lily recited the rules with a nod, the lie tasting sharper now. The moment Clara's truck faded down the snowy drive, she sprang into action, parka on, cap pulled low, backpack slung over her shoulders. She dashed to the clearing, her breath puffing out in dragon-like clouds. Nova was there. Weaker but alive, dragged deeper under the log for shelter. Lily knelt, her knees sinking into the snow, and set to work. She gathered fallen branches, their bark rough against her mittens, and built a lean-to against the log, mimicking a camping trick her dad had taught her under Oregon pines. "Angle the sticks, Lil, so the wind slides off." She spread the starry blanket inside, smoothing it with care. "This kept me safe when I was little," she said, her voice soft but sure. "Now it's for you." She left the trail mix and water bottle nearby, talking as she worked. "I'll take care of you, Nova. You're not alone anymore." Over the next 2 weeks, Lily established a secret routine, slipping out daily, sometimes dodging Clara's watchful eye, sometimes waiting until she left for town chores. She brought whatever she could smuggle, jerky from Clara's hiking stash, a blueberry muffin she claimed she'd dropped, even a pork chop she'd spilled in the mudroom. Brushing off Clara's raised eyebrow with a shrug. Nova's strength grew, though she couldn't hunt, her injured leg stiff and useless. On the 8th day, Lily arrived to find a newcomer, a massive black wolf. His coat gleaming like polished coal, standing guard near Nova's shelter. Her heart hammered, but Nova whined a soft greeting, her tail thumping faintly. "Hi," Lily said, her voice trembling as she named him Onyx. "Are you Nova's friend?" To her astonishment, Onyx sat, his dark eyes wary but calm, assessing her with a stillness that felt almost human. Days later, Onyx returned with a rabbit. Its limp form dropped near Nova, a gift, Lily figured, for the mother-to-be. She began sharing her deepest thoughts with them, the words spilling out in the quiet clearing. Dad loved the woods, he'd draw maps for us to explore. Mom said snowflakes were angel kisses, falling just for me. Her grief, frozen since the accident, began to thaw in their silent presence. Caring for Nova and Onyx gave her something she'd lost, a purpose. A bond, a flicker of the family she'd once known. Each visit stitched a thread of hope into her heart, fragile but growing, beneath the endless Alaskan sky. The blizzard descended on Timber Hollow like a thief, stealing the mild December morning with a ferocity no one saw coming. Clara had left at first light for town, a quick run for groceries and a new kerosene lamp. Back in an hour, she promised, zipping Lily's parka up to her chin, her gloved hand lingering on the girl's shoulder. Stay inside, lock the door, call Mrs. Olson if anything goes wrong. Lily nodded. Her fingers curled around a sausage link she'd saved from breakfast, tucked into her pocket for Nova. As Clara's truck rumbled down the snowy drive, the first flakes fell, soft and lazy, dusting the porch like powdered sugar. Lily waited 5 minutes, then geared up, parka, mittens, her mom's knit cap, her heart thudding with urgency. She'd seen Nova's belly growing rounder each day. The pups were close, and the wolf needed her. She ran to the clearing, wind rising to whip her face, snow thickening into a curtain that stung her cheeks. Nova, she called. Her voice swallowed by the storm's howl. The lean-to stood empty, fresh tracks leading away, deep, uneven, as if Nova had dragged herself off. Panic clawed at Lily's chest. She knew from Clara's stories that wolves sought dens for birthing. But in this weather? She followed the prints, snow piling past her ankles, then her shins, landmarks blurring into a white void. Nova, where are you? Tears froze on her lashes. Her mittens caked with ice as she stumbled deeper into the woods, the trail fading under fresh drifts. Back at the cabin, Clara returned early, her truck's radio crackling with an emergency alert, a monster storm rolling in faster than predicted. Winds gusting to 50 miles an hour, visibility near zero. Lily, she shouted, shoving open the door, grocery bags tumbling as she stepped into silence. The worksheet lay unfinished on the table. Lily's parka gone, her boots missing from the mat. Clara's heart sank as she spotted other absences, the trail mix jar half empty, the starry blanket vanished weeks ago, chalked up to childish misplacement. No, 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 she muttered, yanking on her extreme weather gear, hands shaking as she laced her boots. The storm outside was a whiteout, the kind that had claimed trappers 100 yards from their doors. She grabbed her rifle, not to hunt, but to signal, and plunged into the blizzard, screaming Lily's name into the void. Meanwhile, Lily's world shrank to a disorienting swirl of snow and shadow. She'd lost Nova's tracks, her own footprints erased by the wind. Nova. Onyx. Her voice was thin, swallowed by the roar. The cold seeped through her layers, numbing her fingers. Her legs trembling with each step. She stopped, uncertain, home could be anywhere, or nowhere. A low whine cut through the gale, spinning her around. Onyx emerged from the haze. His black fur crusted with ice, his dark eyes fixed on her with fierce intent. He stepped back, then waited, head lowered against the wind. You want me to follow? Lily whispered. Hope flickering. Onyx huffed, breath clouding, and moved again, pausing to ensure she trailed him. He led her through a maze of spruce, their branches a frail shield against the storm. To a narrow cave at the base of a rocky outcrop, just tall enough for Lily to stoop inside. There, amid the dim shelter, Nova lay panting, her sides heaving with labor. Lily knelt beside her. Awe overtaking fear as 3 tiny wolves emerged, wet, mewling bundles of fur Nova licked clean. Onyx stood guard at the entrance, shaking snow from his coat, his silhouette a sentinel against the blizzard's fury. A fourth pup followed, smaller, weaker, its cries faint. "You're doing great, Nova," Lily murmured, stroking the wolf's head, her mittens damp with melted snow. Exhaustion tugged at her. The day's adrenaline ebbing. She curled near Nova, the pup's warmth against her side, and Onyx settled beside her, his bulk a living furnace. "Thank you," she whispered, eyes drifting shut as the storm raged on. Her small body cocooned between two wild guardians. Dawn broke with a brittle clarity, the blizzard spent, leaving 4 feet of pristine snow blanketing the land. Lily stirred. Disoriented by Onyx's nudge, his nose cold against her cheek. Nova nursed her pups, their tiny squeaks filling the cave. "I have to go," Lily said, spotting search flags fluttering in the distance through the cave mouth, red and yellow against the white. "Grandma's looking for me." She stumbled out, waving her arms as 3 figures in heavy coats emerged from the trees. Lily Carter. Tom Olson, the fire chief, shouted, his weathered face breaking into relief. "She's alive, quarter-mile northeast of the ridge." They rushed to her, questions tumbling. "How'd you survive? Where were you?" Lily's frost-nipped fingers ached, but she managed. "Grandma, where is she?" Their expressions darkened. "Clara went missing in the search," Tom said, his voice heavy. "She took off alone when we lost you. Haven't found her yet." Lily's knees buckled, guilt crashing over her like a wave. "She's lost because of me," she whispered. At the clinic, Dr. Ellen Hayes treated her frostbite, reddened fingertips. A mild case, and checked her for hypothermia, marveling at her survival. "A cave," Lily said when pressed, editing out Nova and Onyx, her secret a shield she couldn't drop. Clara was found hours later, alive but critical. Collapsed in a drift with hypothermia and a sprained wrist from a fall into a hidden creek. Airlifted to Anchorage, her prognosis was guarded. Lily sat by her bedside, machines beeping. Clutching her cold hand. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. Mrs. Olson, their neighbor with gray curls and a soft voice, hugged her. "She's tough as spruce, honey. She'll fight." Days later. At Mrs. Olson's tidy home in town, a log house smelling of cedar and yarn, Lily begged to check the cabin. "Pipes might freeze," she said, echoing Clara's winter worries. Mrs. Olson agreed, driving them over in her rattling jeep. At the porch, Lily froze. Wolf tracks circled the shed, large and familiar, one paw with a notched print, Onyx. He'd come looking for her. "Good Lord, wolves this close?" Mrs. Olson exclaimed, gripping Lily's arm. "You're staying in town till Clara's back, no arguments." The tracks sparked a firestorm at the next town meeting. Held in the church basement's flickering light. Bill Travis, a rancher with a weathered face and a temper, slammed his fist on the table. "Lost 3 calves this month, wolves are getting bold." Dar. Hayes countered, "Prey's scarce with the snow, doesn't mean they're a threat." Lily stood, trembling. "They saved me in the blizzard. I fed a hurt wolf, she had pups. They're my friends." Her story poured out, finding Nova, the secret visits, Onyx leading her to safety. The room fell silent, then erupted. Tom nodded, "She survived somehow, caves don't explain it all." Bill scoffed, "Fairy tales." Mayor Ed Riley, a stout man with a graying beard, ordered an investigation but banned Lily from the woods. "Too risky," he said. That night, in Mrs. Olson's guest room, its quilt stitched with pine trees, Lily vowed to warn Nova. At dawn, she slipped out with kibble from the pantry, her flashlight cutting through the dark. Determined to protect her wild family from the town's divided heart. Lily's routine at Mrs. Olson settled into a tense rhythm, school co-op in the mornings, where she traced letters and numbers with other kids under Mrs. Olson's watchful eye, and afternoons knitting or reading by the wood stove. But her mind stayed in the woods, replaying Nova's amber gaze, Onyx's steady presence. Mrs. Olson, sensing her restlessness, tried to fill the gap, baking oatmeal cookies, teaching her to whistle like a loon. "Your grandma'd want you busy," she'd say, her needles clicking. Yet Lily's guilt grew, a stone in her chest. Clara's fall was her fault, her defiance had sent her grandmother into the storm. She wrote letters to Anchorage, "Dear Grandma, I'm sorry. Please come home," and mailed them with Mrs. Olson, who patted her head but offered no false promises. The town buzzed with wolf talk. Hank Grayson, gruff and bow-legged, sided with Bill, muttering about bleeding hearts ruining Timber Hollow. Others, like Ellen Hayes and Tom Olson, leaned toward Lily's tail, their voices softer but firm. "She's not lying, something kept her alive out there," Tom said at the store, hefting a gas can. Lily clung to her secret, editing it for safety. "A cave kept me warm." But the tracks at the cabin tipped the scales, fear outweighed wonder. She overheard Bill at the gas pump, his voice low, "If Riley won't act, I'll call in trackers from Fairbanks. Wolves don't belong near homes." Her resolve hardened, she'd reach Nova before the hunters did. Lily's chance came 3 weeks later. On a brittle Tuesday when the co-op let out early. She lingered on the school steps, really the church porch, waiting for Mrs. Olson, when Bill's voice drifted from the general store. "Lost 5 calves now," he growled to Sheriff Mark Jensen, a lanky man with a perpetual frown. "I'm done waiting, got trackers coming tomorrow with hounds. Tracks lead from my land through Carter's." Lily's blood ran cold. She slipped home, feigning a headache, and lay awake, plotting. At 4 a.m., she dressed in layers, parka, scarf, mittens, stuffed kibble and a flashlight into her pack. And Jimmy'd open the guest window, dropping into soft mud. The forest loomed dark and vast, shadows stretching under a waning moon. She ran, her breath puffing, snow crunching underfoot. The creek, her landmark, glinted ahead, but voices carried on the wind, hunters, earlier than she'd feared. A gunshot cracked, birds exploding from the trees. She sprinted to Nova's cave, empty. Bedding scattered. Tracks led north, toward the ridges. She followed, losing the trail on rocky ground, panic rising. After an hour, she crested a rise and froze. Nova, Onyx, and 4 pups stood cornered against a sheer cliff. Hackles raised. Bill and 2 strangers emerged, rifles up, hounds baying. "Stop!" Lily screamed, planting herself between them, arms wide. "They're my wolves, they saved me." Bill's rifle wavered, his face twisting. "They killed my calves. You don't know it's them." Lily shot back, voice fierce. Nova pressed her head to Lily's side, a silent vow. The lean hunter, face creased like old leather, lowered his gun. "Bill, look, this is her wolf." Then Jake Riley, the mayor's lanky 15-year-old son, stepped from the trees, voice shaky. "They saved me too, last December, lost in a storm. I lied about a shed." Clara arrived, frail on a cane, eyes blazing. "Bill, they're not your killers, track elsewhere." Dar. Hayes proposed collars and a fund for losses. Bill sighed, rifle dropping. "Write it up, I'm done." Lily knelt by Nova, whispering, "You're safe." Spring thawed Timber Hollow. Clara healed, slowly, her wrist stiff but her spirit intact, and Lily flourished, her grief easing. The wolf program launched, Nova's pack collared and monitored. The pups grew, north. Aspen, Frost, and Star, the smallest, bearing Nova's crescent mark. One June day, Star approached Lily near the cabin, sitting 20 yards off, eyes mirroring Nova's. "You're her legacy," Lily said, tears welling. Clara watched, smiling. "You've got your mom's heart, kiddo. Back at the cabin, sorting the attic became a summer project. Amid dusty trunks, Lily found a photo, her great-grandmother. Ruth, with a wolf pup, Silver Star, 1953, scrawled on the back. A journal detailed Ruth raising the orphaned pup, releasing it to a pack, its descendants marked by a crescent. Nova was hers, Lily gasped. Clara nodded, misty-eyed. Runs in the family, your mom loved those stories. The discovery reframed Lily's bond, a thread through generations, healing her through purpose. A year later, Timber Hollow's first Wolf Festival bloomed, an October celebration of renewal. Lily, now 8, stood on a stage in her blue dress, Ruth's wolf pendant gleaming, sharing Nova's tale. She taught me bravery isn't fearlessness, it's protecting what matters. The crowd roared, Bill Travis clapping first, tears in his eyes. That night, at the meadow's edge, the town howled, human voices rising with the wild. Star led the pack into view, locking eyes with Lily in a nod that echoed Nova's. Clara squeezed her hand. Her spirit's in Star, and you. Their story reshaped the town, a legacy of love across species, enduring through seasons and time. Lily and Nova's journey teaches us that even in the darkest storms, literal or not, kindness and courage can light the way. Nova showed us that strength isn't just surviving, but protecting those you love, while Lily proved that a child's compassion can rewrite a whole town's story. It's a reminder that healing often comes from the unexpected, whether it's a wolf in the snow or a legacy in an attic. What hit home for you in their tale? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I'd love to hear what moved you. If this warmed your heart, give it a like and share it with someone who needs a boost. Let's keep spreading the love, folks.